on that note, 1, 2, 3. Hello.
Woo, woo, woo.
Welcome back to episode 5 of Thirsty Thursday.
Thirsty Thursday. Ooh.
I have myself, Taylor Waite, she, her, hers, my amazing, beautiful, amazing guest. Oh, sorry. Let me do Jake first. I work for Jake, is the host of this show. My amazing host, co-host, go off, baby.
Beautiful comes next. It's Jake, motherfucking Ernie.
You better. And with me, last but certainly not least,
Let
bitch.
him know.
Period.
And the real beauty. Can we get it?
Can we get that was a terrible online sex worker, sex content creator, sex blogger, sex theorist, pole dancer, pole instructor, DJ, photographer, creative, scientist, visual DJ, 3D, motions, graphic artist, overall boss ass bitch.
Try.
Period.
Khaddijat Yusuf.
Thank you.
Ooh.
Accessories designer Mona. Wait. Where is it?
What?
My mask.
Where we're wearing it. Where we're both wearing it.
We're both wearing the bitch. Jake. Jake says, I'm gonna buy him one. It's on the way, and then we'll all be decked out. So if you're not supporting trans artists, you're not doing anything. Remember that.
That's right.
Remember that.
So we're also, and we're also excited to announce that this episode 5, is our season 1 finale. Taylor, we started this thing just as an idea. You called me and you were like, let's do a sex podcast. And I was like, bitch, I was already thinking about it. Let's go.
Literally, Jake was like, I had the first 5 agendas already ready, just piled on top. It has literally been one of the craziest experiences because me and Jake, just in general, are very sexual people. And that was kind of something that drew us to each other, you would say.
Yeah.
And to finally have this platform to really talk about the sex work that with people, with friends in community, so that they can hear the truth and stop hearing all of these other misused sort of perceptions about what sex work is, about what it is to be a sex worker, about living this life, and then also all the things that are piled against us. And having Jake as this amazing boss ass bitch, it literally has been a time and a half. I can't wait for the future, to be honest.
Oh my gosh, that's what I was just thinking too. Thank you so much. But I'm just so excited with what we were able to produce this season. But it just gets me so much more psyched to see where we can take all these conversations and do what we have planned in the second season. It's gonna be fucking awesome, and I'm so proud of our current subscribers, and I'm looking forward to meeting new people down the road. And it's so much fun.
Yes, it's going to be a time and a half. So can you let the people know what we talked about last time and what we're getting into today?
Yeah. So as we've been talking about this whole porn series, this isn't only the season finale, but also the finale of our porn series. And we've really gotten into the different facets of what a fetish is, what we've been talking about of how the online porn world, how that stigmatizes a lot of queer people and the queer community in general. And all the different facets that play into our daily lives as queer people, and the stories that have accumulated into our sexual orientation, and how we, what gets our rocks off and what gets us going, and what we're used to and understand in life, just based off the porn that we've had to grow up with. So we're taking that even further, getting more into a little bit of conversation we got into earlier in the last episode, but talking about hetero-cis normative culture and its appearance in queer porn and in gay porn and porn in our community, but then exactly how that does and how that we face it every single day and how we can get over it and talk about it.
Yeah, I think Khaddijat's one of the best people really to talk about this, because I think the narratives of porn making, right, of mainstream, right, we're thinking Pornhub, we're thinking these X videos, these huge cumulative places of these so quote unquote vastness of categories. But when it comes to trans artists on those platforms, it is really fucking ridiculous. Number one.
Yeah.
Number one, the pay.
What pay?
The pay. y'all watch the videos. Y'all don't really understand the difference in pay of these actors for everybody in the scene. What's required, what people want. So if you give us just like a good gist of kind of like the bullshit you're over seeing the fuck in this crazy ass, transphobic ass, anti-black ass community that is being a sex worker and a sex content creator really in this sphere, especially with the road. Because that's another thing we were talking about.
I mean, yeah, deadass. Like, I definitely feel a lot like it's harder for certain groups of people, you know, to just find porn to enjoy themselves with, right? Like, we're going to bed at like 11 p.m. and some people are like, great, like I found my category and I found people that look like me and people that I can imagine, you know, maybe having sex with or being in certain positions with. And a lot of people, you know, like disabled people, dark-skinned people, like femmes, we're all spending like, what, an hour, 2 hours? It's like just searching through every single category to look for something that's like both enjoyable and well made.
Yes.
Or something that's both nuanced and fun, right? Because we're dealing with a lot of situations now, especially where people are doing the thing they've joked about since elementary school, you know. They're like, oh, well, if I don't have a job, I'll just be a stripper. I'll just be a sex worker. And I think that we're seeing how damaging that culture has been now in real time because people are doing it. And even putting like the anti-blackness aside, right, the fact that our ideas of femininity and sexuality and attractiveness are created entirely based on the dehumanization of Black people. You know, one of my favorite people on Instagram is at Blameless Queer Icon. Check him out. But they write a lot of wonderful, like just short, you know, easy to digest content about basically how anti-Black sex work is. Ways for allies and white people to effectively change the system from within and from without. And I think it's important to understand that it's not a new tactic to sort of deny Black people, especially Black women and Black femmes and Black trans people, sexual agency.
Yes.
Right. So if you, for example, listen to Angela Davis's 2011 speech, The Meaning of Freedom, she touches on the fact that laws were created to allow Black men to travel. Right. Black men were sort of allowed a semblance of sexual freedom where they could choose to have certain partners to their detriment more often than not. But that choice was still available in some way. And you saw them run with it, you know, in a way that the other half of their community is not allowed to this day.
Yeah.
And that is why you kind of get the narrative a lot of the time where if a Black femme or a Black woman or a Black non-man continuously chooses a Black man, doesn't do anything for her, right? Or who might actually put her in a situation that is worse than the one that she started having. It's her fault, you know, like she should have been more observant. She should have chosen them better. She should have known. But if you don't choose them, you're still wrong, right? You're now anti-Black. You now for the Black man, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's very fascinating because that same logic or narrative or what have you is we try not to apply it in the reverse. You know, like we are out here attempting to simply find spaces in which we are loved. You know, find spaces in which people know that maybe when they enter the bedroom with us, we are more than the categories of like ebony and ghetto.
Preach,
like race play nigger. Like
I was just about to say, like, whose categories, you know what I mean, are most likely to be deemed as the different, exotic, like aggressive, like this different. If you get into this, you're getting into something,
right?
Hardcore.
And you're looking at a lot of South Asian countries.
Yeah.
You're looking at a lot of African countries. Like, you see it in the porn, right? You have, like, tourists that are like, oh, African slave on the road. Like, Thai girl.
Yeah,
I'm just like, this is clearly exploitative.
Yes.
This is clearly not content.
Exactly.
These women are enjoying
being
part of.
You know what I mean?
And the fact that those things do get so many views.
Yes.
The fact that they are so popular.
Yes.
The fact that you can go on any major free porn site and look at the big old cloud of words and find Asian street.
Yes.
Or black bitch.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's literally
that translates into real life. And people do not understand the stress of it. They do not understand the stress of just going out into the world and having people approach you on some disrespectful, dehumanizing shit.
Period. We were talking about that last episode. We were talking about, we were talking with Jasmine. She actually does like dom work, and at Apoetic, and she also has an OnlyFans. And she was talking about how, and we were talking a little bit on the phone about this, and what the episode was about was like kind of scamming or using the dehumanization of yourself, right? The fetishization of the body, as Khadijat was also talking about, and Jake, as maybe you know, the AMAB, sort of AFAB, like the obsession with genitals, that is the sex and the porn world, and just like the toxicity that is queerness in general. I think a lot of people don't understand that, like, the queer community is not safe for everybody. It's not even a community that people can really feel safe in, especially if you're not aligning. Just like he's just saying, with these so ingrained values of how we view pleasure and aggression and love and empathy and sex, that when you're not in line with those values, you're automatically put at the bottom. And I was going to bring up the question of the effect of, like, pay. Like you said, these things affect us in real life. You know what I mean? This is... Jasmine was talking a lot about how she can't really do race play anymore. Like, there's no amount of money that I can really give or say for me to want to degrade myself, literally to be literally degraded. Jasmine even mentioned saying that, most people want her to shove like a large thing into her body. And are instantly obsessed with the androgynousness of her. Like, what do you have? Are you AMAP? Are you AFAB? This obsession.
And we're not even going to talk about the policing of black AFAB bodies and the comparisons to them all the time as masculine, as unattractive, right? Like, I am agender. And I'm also asexual, and I guess many people would consider that being under the trans umbrella. But even when I did identify as she, her, as a girl or what have you, I would just walk out into the street and be hurled insults from vehicles. And it's not something that happened a long time ago. We're talking about last summer. Right. You know what I mean? We're talking about the fact that despite the fact that I love my body, and there's nothing really wrong with it. You know what I mean? As far as conventional beauty standards, right? I'm not necessarily over a certain weight. I'm not tall. I am a very petite person. Like, I'm slight. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even 5'4", bro. Like, I didn't even make it. But then to watch the fear with which other people, with which non-black people kind of view your body, or maybe even light-skinned black people, right? Because if we're going to talk about conforming to white patriarchal heteronormative standards, you have to talk about the fact that people of color are actively striving for some sort of
definitely. Even in the Latinx community, there's a bunch of it as well.
The Latinx community, colorism is just worldwide. It is just so rampant in the separatism that is, and that can be, and that really is the porn industry. You can see, I always try, like, I'm going to school for this, so I'm always trying to say that the internet is just a re-perpetuation of what the world really thinks, of what's actually going on here. You know what I mean? And if
it's a system that built a system, so it's the exact same ideologies going into it.
To be out here talking about dismantling systems, we have to be ready to dismantle those systems too. And I think that people are more focused on, like, the government. or like, you know, state things or and those are all valid. But what are you doing out here having, you know, Black Lives Matter and your sex worker Twitter bio, yet everybody you repost is white because you didn't think to look for non-white sex workers to amplify. You didn't realize it was a problem because you felt comfortable. You know what I mean? And I think that the fact that we are always aware of that, right? We are consistently aware of whether or not we are in danger or just being lightly disrespected. You know, we're consistently aware that we have to do more, be more, invest more in order to earn less across the board, not just in sex work.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like we are often pioneers of sex work in various forms, as far as physical aesthetics, as far as elevating the game, as far as performance. Like you have Black sex workers on Instagram and Twitter, like making something, you know what I mean? Like they're making new kinds of shoes and new kinds of outfits, and they're coming up with new routines.
They're fucking DJs. They organize shit. They are things in real life. They're human beings, bitch.
And we have situations like, for example, the New York City stripper strike that started off as an indictment against racism in specifically the New York sex worker industry, right? Because they have the same problem we have here in Pittsburgh, where you're like, well, we got the one Black one. You know what I mean? And it
tokenism
somehow into like a fight against bartenders and strippers, you know. And now it's like, well, bartenders shouldn't be allowed to dance because strippers are there to dance. And I thought, well, if you recognize that bartenders are pushing out strippers who need the work, then how could you not recognize that non-Black strippers are actively pushing out Black survival sex workers who need the work? You know, and what do you do when you're a part of a system that is taking Black people and throwing them out into the street with no resources, with no recourse? You know what I mean? That I think that makes you complicit. I personally do not care. Kind of like what you need for your personal life, yada, 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 because it is economically proven that if you help Black women in your community, you have helped everybody, including yourself. And the fact that people are still 400 years later, despite centuries of rhetoric, of texts, of conversations, of race meetings, law changes, what have you, we're still sitting here begging, asking to not even be noticed, just to be humanized. Period. You know what I mean? And I find that incredibly violent. And I think that the onus is not only on, you know, your average consumer of porn, but also on sex workers within the industry who recognize that their desirability comes at the immediate expense of the Black femmes around them. Period.
That was a great place for a break, bitch. That was everything.
that was like so articulate. I was like, damn.
No, literally,
like,
break it down.
Beautiful.
Literally, y'all can't say that this is not. That was the main thing that me and Jake wanted this sex podcast to be about. Because a lot of sex podcasts, number one, are transphobic. Horribles. Putting Simone B on there. We're calling you out. Fuck that bitch. A lot of podcasts give in to the cis heteronormative standards of what it is to do all these things. And when we're talking about this, we want to talk about the real shit, not just, oh, if you put a banana on the left of your pussy, no, bitch, not just that. We can do that too.
Yeah, and they get really stuck into into really two perspectives, and usually it's just the perspectives of the host, and they never bring on anybody that has true, passion and insight into these worlds that they're already they're basically commercializing off of, right? They're just turning it into their coin, and they're not even bringing on representatives and that actually are about the material they're talking about, and that's just so not holistic and not what we aim to do.
Yeah. So we'll be back in a sickety sec. Bye.
3, 2, 1. Oh, we've been recording? Is this bitch recording? Hey everybody, welcome back. Thank you for that beautiful break. I bet you all had a great time on it. We're going to be talking about the topic of cis heteronormative behavior and culture and how we really interact with it in our own life. For me, you know, cis heteronormative culture, especially in my queer world, it's always been an oppressive thing. Like, you know, me not being outed to people in a way. Like it was when I had a personal stalker, it was ammo to me, was to not tell the world that I was gay, because I was still closeted and just like, you know, doing my shit. But it's something that I think everybody in the queer community deals with in very different spectrums, and spectrums that are, you know, some people can't even conceive of. Mm-hmm. So
I was asking if they had doxed you, because that's what we were just talking about, how a lot of times it goes either to doxing or violence is really like the two things that I've seen. Is like, I've had a man threaten to kill me because I sent him a picture of me and like my shoulders are wide, I have a really big back. And he was like, "Are you a man? Yep. If I find out, I'll kill you."
Oh my God.
Why would I go visit you if you're gonna kill me? You know, number one. And then the second thing is, oh, I'm gonna tell everybody, or I'm gonna take your pictures, I'm gonna post your pictures or whatever. And like, I followed the motto of Revelations 17:3. Send them a pic of somebody else's titties. Hey, so been able to be doxxed because I don't send, like, especially if I haven't met you in person, like, I won't send them directly to you. Yeah, I have to see your face, and we have to have like a face-to-face interaction. And I need to even know if I want to see you naked. Like, if you're ugly, I don't want them, you know?
And that translation from the online world and presence you have into reality is a bitch. It can be a really scary interaction. A lot of people, like, and that's why people have complete online personalities that are so different from what they are in reality, because that transition is just so crazy. And we've talked about that, I think, in our second episode, and how that, and just what kind of scar that leaves on people that have to have these two different identities, or have to have that crossover phase, and how those then phase into reality, and how dangerous that can become for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's, the fantasy definitely cannot be reality. It definitely can. And there's rarely times, in my opinion, that it truly is. Like, a lot of the times it's very, for me anyway, cut and dry. Like, this is what we're here to do. There's not a lot of intimacy involved. Specifically, I do sugar babying, and then I have like online Johns that maybe I'll do like cam work with. And, you know, it's very like, this is my profile, is this is what I do, this is what I like to do, this is what I won't do, this is what I won't want to be. You have to be very upfront about what it is that you will and won't do, because otherwise people are gonna take that step over every fucking boundary that you have until they can, you know, push out of you what it is that they want to see. You know what I mean? And that shit, it's really scary, because I like the online space because I don't have to directly interact with people.
Exactly.
You know, there's a veil, really, of the fact that and that's some of the things I like about it, I feel like, is like I get a little bit, or I am very much the fantasy, because if I'm creating my own persona, and
you're safe in your person and your environment,
this is who I am, then this is literally going to be something that it's going to look and be curated and like be the way that I want it to be. And it's also, that's what the internet is. So we can pretend to be people that we're not, you know what I mean? But I just think that, what do you think?
Well, I agree, but I'm also now, I've been radicalized.
Yeah. Oh.
So at this point, I don't give a fuck. Y'all go know who the fuck I am. Period. As a sex worker, as an artist, as an educator. Because what's gonna happen, I'm gonna have fewer opportunities than I did before. Bitch, I'm at rock bottom. Like, as far as society goes, I'm unbothered. You know what I mean? Like, what are they gonna do? Like, treat me worse? You know, treat people like us worse than they already did. Like, and so for me, this is kind of like a really huge step, because I found that even when I am upfront, people will still attempt to take advantage, you know what I mean, of me by asking me to do things that I clearly do not want.
Exactly.
And I just kind of want to understand the mindset behind that. I think the mindset behind behind that like approach, especially because, in my opinion, if I wanted something and I went on a profile and somebody that I thought was attractive said they didn't want to do the thing, well, I'd either have to give up my expectations of having the thing in order to approach them, or I wouldn't approach them at all, point blank. And it seems that when it comes to Black AFAB people on the internet, people feel entitled to your time, to your body, to your energy, regardless of whether or not you have already vocalized repeatedly that this is not something that you want.
Yeah.
And I think that to some degree everybody experiences that under the system of toxic patriarchy and white supremacy and all that. But we're looking at this playing out in the literal murder of Black women.
Literally.
Yeah, Black trans women.
Murders of trans Black women.
Specifically.
And we're trying to have other people be as worried about us as we are for ourselves.
Exactly.
And that's a struggle.
And that's such an easy concept, and that's such a struggle for so many people. And it's just like, what the actual fuck?
It's also a struggle for us because now it's also our job to supply ourselves with resources as we're all struggling.
Right.
Because Black lives matter, but not the ones that aren't respectable.
Exactly.
Black lives matter, but not the ones that can't communicate effectively, quote unquote, with white supremacy or whiteness.
Yeah.
Like, and it's getting to the point where we're watching people use the not respectable, Black AFAB people who have been doing this in their daily lives for years, who are used to this level of outspokenness, of rage, of organization, of having thought about solutions for longer than people have realized that there were even problems.
Right.
And they like to use us for optics, right? We are great for the margin. We are great for the media. We are great standing off against white police and their, militant level weapons that are completely unnecessary. We love seeing little Black children dance on protest signs. We love commodifying the Black age at any age, and we will do it sexually.
Really.
We will do it politically.
Truly.
And it is disgusting. You know what I mean? It's to the point where you can do anything as an ambiguous Black child without being considered fast, without being
And these concepts are not new. These are concepts that we've been seeing all over the place.
Yes.
And I think that level of
all over the place.
Like I really hate it personally.
Yeah.
When people attempt to befriend me off the idea that I am strong.
Yeah. Resilient.
Yes,
so
that they feel like it is an admirable trait.
We
they don't understand.
Yeah,
they don't understand that in doing so, they are playing right into.
You're playing into that shit.
That you're trying to approach me because you understand that you don't have to do anything for me.
That mystical Negro shit is
right.
out.
You understand that I'm gonna be here for your feelings. I'm gonna be here for you in real life. But it's fine to give me the bare minimum because, well, I'm strong.
Yeah.
I can supply for myself, and I have, and it's nice. And at this point, I started demanding the exact opposite, and it sounds ridiculous, right? To like storm up to someone at 5'3.5" and be like, "Well, I'm baby bitch, and I demand this amount of money, and I demand this type of investment because these are the things that are important to me in my success as an individual, and will allow me to help my community succeed."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Period. That's what it's about.
And it seems like people are less interested in investing in a community as a whole, right? Because at a certain point, we're just kind of asking you to give us a certain amount of resources so that we can do the work by ourselves, and you can sit back and enjoy the fruits of our labor. but people have started to fight that.
Yeah.
I think, especially more recently, it's been a lot of Black Lives Matter, but you are mean to me.
Right.
You know, Black Lives Matter, but maybe they shouldn't have resisted arrest. You know, Black Lives
Yeah, it's always a but.
12 years ago, they were arrested.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like,
all of them.
It's started to pop out a lot more.
Most definitely.
Among the people that claim to be for our lives, it's being held against us, right? Our lives are being held as collateral for justice.
Yeah.
They're like, well, we won't help you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's been coming up a lot recently, especially with all the, I don't know if y'all are familiar with Shane Dawson, all the Jenna Marbles and Jeffree Star shit that's going down and all that cancel culture is doing on the interwebs.
Yeah.
Like, talking about call of actions, and yes, it's huge in the Black Lives Matter movement right now. Like, what is going to, what can it take to make up for it, and what that really means, and how deep that goes back into the entire structure.
Right. Well, it's not centering non-Black people to begin with.
Yeah.
So we find out
things that people need to hear.
Yeah, we find out that Jeffree Star is racist and called somebody a nigger bitch.
Yeah, rat, monkey.
Find her and give her motherfucking money.
Period.
Ignore him.
Period.
Don't give him the platform. Don't give his friends the platform. You know what I mean? And you're literally watching people like Tati, like, they're relevant.
Right.
On any other day.
Right.
Right? This bitch really only pops up when, like, one of her ex-friends is being exposed for something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that that's a very interesting commodification of like apology toward cancel culture.
Yeah.
Because
no apology.
She has been effectively canceled. By proxy. And it's obvious, you know what I mean? And I think that maybe now it's a little bit more prevalent because she had nothing to do with the situation and chose to insert herself.
Exactly. Such white womanhood.
But I think about the fact that because the internet is built simply around how much people consume.
Yeah.
And not necessarily how people feel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
About your content.
Right.
We've had people who don't even like her, who don't even support her, watch that shit.
Exactly.
And I'm sure she's made money.
Exactly.
As far as, you know what I mean? Like,
all of that.
Views, content, whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to understand how these systems work in the first place. And so, for example, I'm going back to school for, like, tech, basically, tech and, like, game design. And I am very keenly aware of how tech culture kind of pushes social culture and vice versa, right? Like, I've had a computer since I was 6 or 7. Like, I have been in the shady group chats, you know, I have been on the dark web, I have had the accounts and tried to delete the accounts and gotten hacked a couple times. But the point is, just once or twice, just a light virus or two. And they're free, you know, the dark web is, anyway, I'm not going to promote tour on it. I'm so sorry, you guys. But if you do need to get resources that are usually paid, you know, like
contact.
pirate. I don't care if the feds arrest me for this.
Exactly.
Honestly. What are they gonna do?
Plug your OnlyFans, bitch. Plug your OnlyFans, bitch.
Don't do it anyway. Period.
What were we talking about?
We're getting into the part where you were already talking about solutions, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think
call of action.
Basically, what I was gonna say, which is, it is a revolutionary act to humanize Black sex workers.
Yes, and humanize yourself.
Humanize yourself.
That's very interesting because we're expected to insert ourselves into these derogatory categories because we need money desperately. And you know what we do, but you know what we need more than money? Peace of motherfucking mind when I go to sleep at night.
Yeah, equal rights. Come on, what the fuck?
To pay us directly, you know.
We need to value our labor for what it's worth.
For what it's worth. For
and the
literally
fact of the matter
is,
is, at this point, a lot of us are a lot more expensive than y'all care to admit.
Exactly.
For
very
many
expensive.
reasons.
Very
you know?
expensive. Very, very expensive.
Like the whole idea of Black people having to work twice as hard, at least, I would say.
Yeah.
It shows up in sex work too. You know, you go to a club and you see the one Black girl doing the absolute most because she has to.
Exactly. She has to be.
Yeah, but if people are craving, like, people have appropriated and taken so much from Black culture and used it in their own mainstream environment that if they truly need that authentic shit and they're already paying bookie dollars for it, bitch, pay the fuck up.
Oh, we're talking about authenticity?
Right. And if that's what you want, you need to pay Black trans sex workers.
I know, but you're also, let's look at the aesthetic, like, battle. Right, between cis and trans women throughout history. It's like, at this point, you have specifically Black women,
the blueprint,
and Black trans women making caricatures of themselves.
Yes.
To make sense. Yes. Than a non-Black person.
Yes.
Who's also a caricature of a Black woman.
Literally.
Make it make sense.
Make motherfucking sense.
Because we have ourselves out here. We're looking at each other. Bitches is thick.
Yes.
You know, bitches got shape. Bitches serve body and face. You know, and somebody like Kim Kardashian or something decides to go get an exaggerated version of a Black woman. But now a bunch of non-Black people see this as a standard. And so now the Black person, it has to be more authentic.
Exactly.
Yeah, like what the hell?
Bitch, the blueprint. Y'all gotta recognize
the blueprint.
And where to pay and how much and pay the price. Pay the motherfucking price. Something that I was just telling Khaddijat, like, literally give up your life. Give up your life, die, bitch.
Yeah.
Give up your house, give up your car. Like, if you're willing to fight for the revolution, you're willing to give it all for the sake of Black trans women, for the sake of Black non-binary people, for the sake of Black agender people. And you have to say it out loud. You have to tell people out loud. You have to love Black people outside of your screen.
And you have to
prioritize us
in every decision, because people really be out here talking about, oh, sorry, I didn't notice. And I'm like,
we're right here.
Because we have to notice every fucking time it happens.
Exactly.
Yes, every single time.
I'm tired of people being like, oh, I forgot to consider. You know, at this point, I don't need consideration. It is a demand that any decision you make, and I don't care if that decision is having to wipe your ass. You need to first ask yourself how this benefits Black AFAB people, Black trans people, disabled Black people in your fucking community before you do anything. And I do not care if you have to say a mantra to yourself, you know, 500 times a day before you do it.
Yeah.
Make it a fucking religion, bitch.
Period.
Just because it's not been thought about for way too long.
Period.
At this point, I don't have time. We're not doing this for another 400 years, and y'all got me fucked up.
Right.
Time's up. I think I will.
Time's up, bitch. Time's
is that the
fucking up.
the hashtag?
That's the dinner bell. Yep.
Yeah, the hashtag's appropriate.
Okay, cool.
That's NAACP initiative, actually.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, shout out to the TSA chapter of NAACP.
Oh, amen. I got really, overshadowed.
Yeah. Time's
celebrities, huh?
I know. They really overtook that, but
they really did for like a week.
Literally. That was everything.
Everything I needed and more than I thought I was going to get. That was the best thing. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you so much for your presence, for your everything, for your knowledge, for agreeing, for letting me in your space, for letting us in your area and your energy, for letting us know you, for allowing us to let our community of people that we love so much know you, because you deserve to be known. You deserve to know that you are loved. Black agender lives matter, bitch. Yeah, agender sex workers matter. Black sex workers matter. Go ahead and drop your websites, your socials, your cash apps, what you need the people to know.
Do I gotta spell it out?
If you
bitch got the ethnic name.
Exactly. You better make it
exactly. I would want it spelled out.
You can spell it out.
Okay. My website is Khaddijat.com. Yes, I know, very original. Nobody took it. Khaddijat is spelled KHADIJAT, bitch. The T is silent.
The T. Ooh.
And actually, if you just go on there, you'll find links to literally everything else I do. So.
Love it. And you're not going to be disappointed, everybody. Let me tell you what. I got on that OnlyFans account today, and bitch, yes. That's all I gotta say.
OnlyFans is Luna Plexus, like solar plexus, but it's Luna.
Love it.
Oh, bitch.
Yes, bitch, because I'm black.
Period. Like the moon, bitch.
I'm dark.
We stand.
This was the best way to end season 1. I'm gagging and I still can't get over it. And I'm just like, bitch, you're going back season 2. I already know it. I already got it in the books. We're gonna get it together.
Yes, bitch.
Thank you.
You already know. We have had so much fun. I literally love doing this. I love talking to people about these topics. I love giving people the spotlight to talk about these topics. People who are just so insightful and people that the world needs to hear, regardless of however many views or whatever. I always tell people, creating for a lot of us is like breathing. We have to do it. And when I make my mark on this world, when I have a legacy, in the words of Beyonce, I was here. You know, I want people to know that Khadijat was a part of my life, that Jake was a part of my life, that Black sex workers were a part of our lives.
Amen.
And that is what season 1 is really about, and we cannot wait for season 2.
Oh, wait, can I go back to this thing real quick? You were talking about like identity.
Yes.
Like, megulation.
Yes.
I'm actually the exact opposite. I take very artful nudes because I am a professional photographer and videographer.
Yeah, it's quality.
I think that if somebody were to leak my nudes,
yes,
and I wish a bitch would,
I'm screaming.
what are they gonna do?
Exactly.
Praise me for being beautiful and stunning and incredibly talented? Like,
exactly.
Bitch, that video of you and like it was 3 panels with the pole and you did like 3 different. It was so good. The lighting was like chef kiss, bitch. Oh.
thank you.
I've been trying to tell people.
Yeah, but I'm just like, I need people eventually. Like, I would like to make it free maybe in a couple years when I'm financially stable,
Exactly.
and don't need this for an income.
Exactly.
Because I think it's a good resource. I also write about like radical Black sex worker theory.
Listen to it.
In addition to my nudes. So,
Listen to it.
Resume, bitch. Resume. I love it.
But I would like people to have a dictionary, you know, a resource.
Yes.
For maybe how to love certain kinds of bodies, since porn is clearly not going to be doing it for us in this century.
Yes. Yes.
Yep. You gotta have some kind of value resource, and I think you can give it, girl. And you know what? I am so glad, Taylor. You're so right. I'm glad we were able to get these representations on here. But I'm so like, I need to push people to actually have to have these conversations past listening to this podcast, and take it into their real life and talk about it with their, you know, their racist ass family and their homophobic uncles and their horrible people in their lives.
You got time. You got time. Get on the Zoom meeting. Have these conversations. Listen to all 5 of the podcasts. Donate to all 5 of our amazing guests, or 3 guests that we had, all of which do sex work, have done sex work. They are drag queens, are artists, are writers, all of which interacting with these systems that you're here to learn about. So if you're going to be here, go back, listen to it, take notes, tell your friends, talk about it, share it, repost it, like it. Love us out fucking loud. You know where to fucking go every motherfucking Thursday, bitch. Thirsty Thursday.
Every Thursday, yes.
We will catch y'all at season 2. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you, Loca. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Loca.